We've seen some developments in terms of Israel competing in Eurovision, so it looks like they are going to compete, which has led to 4 different countries saying that they're going to be boycotting Israel and Eurovision in protest, which is absolutely based as fuck. You love to see it. It's good to see that there are states who are very happy to pull out of Eurovision, because again, they would cost themselves levels of exposure in terms of accessing the cultural capital of Eurovision to stand up for their principles of not accepting that genocidal states should be part of Eurovision, which is great to see. Now, it's terrible that Israel are being allowed to compete, given that Russia are not allowed to compete because of the whole invasion of Ukraine thing, but turns out doing genocide against brown people is fine. It's only bad if you do these things against white people. Because again, it's good that Russia was banned. It's good that Russia have been removed from Eurovision. I support that. But if you're going to make that case for Russia, you're going to have to make that case for Israel. And yet, for some reason, Israel gets a free pass yet again. What a surprise, what a surprise. Now, one thing that you hear very frequently from people in our political class is that somehow the UK is on the side of Israel. It's part of the Western family, as Oliver Dowden said on BBC Laura Kuenssberg. Well, we have some interesting data on whether or not the UK support being part of Eurovision if Israel is a part of it, and the data looks pretty good, because turns out 70% of Britons say that the UK should support boycotting Eurovision over Israel's participation. 82% of British people believe Israel should be excluded from the competition in 2026 after the European Broadcasting Union gave Israel the green light to compete. So much for the assumed position of the UK public from our permanent political class, when actually it turns out we've seen what Israel is like on our phones. We know what they've done in Gaza. We know the reality of Zionism. We know what Israel has always been like. Turns out it wasn't anti-Semitism when Jeremy Corbyn made these criticisms all those years ago. Those lines are really not going to work anymore when we've seen that Israel is a rogue pariah state and should be treated as such, and the British public agree. There can be no doubt that the pro-Israel side has lost in this country. 82% think they should be excluded. Similar numbers that you'd get for those same numbers for Russia. Netanyahu is treated in this country just like Vladimir Putin is treated, thankfully. Because it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense to lump these in together because their actions are so similar. Just ethno-nationalist irredentism. Land theft, genocide, mass death of civilians. The Putin playbook and the Netanyahu playbook, it's fucking identical. Fucking identical. Totally identical. And the British people see through the propaganda. They see through the Zionist propaganda, trying to say that somehow because Israel is Western aligned, they should get away with it. Nope. They see through it and they know that Israel is in the wrong. You can't argue with dead kids, chat. Don't clip that out of context. A new survey commissioned by Pablo Ohana, a senior political advisor who has worked for British ministers and in 2024 worked on Kamala Harris's unsuccessful campaign for the US presidency, has shown most of the UK public thinks differently to the government in supporting Israel competing. 82% of British people believe Israel should be excluded, 69% believe the UK should withdraw from the contest, and 75% of the British public also believe that banning Russia from the contest but not Israel is inconsistent. So much for Drew Pavlo saying that, well, the pro-Ukraine, pro-Palestine people only exist on the internet. Bitch, that's like a supermajority of the British public, Drew. Turns out all of these, like, pro-Western imperialism accounts who think that everyone agrees with them are just totally wrong, and that the overwhelmingly plurality position in this country is pro-Palestine, pro-Ukraine. Like, that's just it. It's just the simple reality when it comes to polling on these issues. And people can see it clearly. They can see it clearly. And when 3/4 of people polled, essentially you're of the line of, well, if you can't really ban Russia and then not ban Israel because they've all done the same shit, because of course they have, you know that the pro-West side has lost. Eurovision isn't just about songs and staging, it's about values. If Israel is permitted to compete, the people of Britain believe we should walk away, Ohana said. And on top of that, you know, like, it's not ever about songs, it's about politics. Like, Eurovision has always been about politics, right? Like, so many people, when it comes to the Israel debate with whether they should compete in Eurovision, kept saying, well, we should keep politics out of Eurovision. It's always been political. Like, the idea that somehow Eurovision hasn't been political up to now and it's only been undermined by the existence of Israel in the competition and the response to that, it's just, like, so facile. Again, because people only pay attention when they get to defend Israel rather than taking a consistent line all the time. Right? That's why we didn't have this debate about politicizing Eurovision when Russia were excluded. Because, again, it's inconsistent based upon whether people are allies with the West or not. It's as simple as that, you know? And of course, leader of the Melt Brigade, Ed Davey of the Liberal Democrats, who believe and stand for nothing, criticised Ireland and other countries that have opted to boycott Eurovision, saying that there's a ceasefire in Gaza, except there isn't. They keep killing civilians. There isn't actually a real ceasefire. And he thinks that that's the wrong action to take because of the ceasefire that America has to, like, railroad Israel into doing. It is really funny, right, that Steve Witkoff literally had to railroad Netanyahu into doing the ceasefire, and then the ceasefire has meant that there is still executions of civilians happening every day in Gaza. It's not actually a real ceasefire, and on top of this, they have annexed huge swathes of Gazan territory and confined Gazans to a tiny little strip within the Gaza Strip itself, right? It's not really a ceasefire, but of course, Ed Davey is somebody who can refuse to take a strong position on anything. MP Zara Sultana, a key figure in the new left-wing Your Party, described Davey as spineless. True. Would Ed Davey have said, apartheid is awful, but banning South Africa from the Olympics? No, I don't think boycotts will help South Africans end apartheid. Let's just vibe through human rights abuses. Totally spineless. Absolutely. We stand. Absolute banger from Zara. The Green Party, which had previously backed a ban on Israel's participation, said, as Israel have been allowed to compete in Eurovision 2026, the UK must follow in the footsteps of Ireland, Spain, Slovenia and the Netherlands and boycott the competition. The world's largest live music event cannot be used to whitewash Israel's ongoing genocide in Gaza, it added. Based, Green Party taking the correct position, as have Your Party. Weird, again, it's only the left that take the position that agrees with, like, a supermajority of the public here, but, you know, that's just our political class totally out of touch, and it's always Israel, right? It's always Israel-Palestine, where our government's out of touch, and the popularists who believe you should just mould all of your positions to meet the median voter, suddenly that all goes away when it comes to Israel. Suddenly, as soon as Israel is involved, there is this cordon sanitaire around public opinion, where the permanent political class refuse to cede to public opinion on this issue. And not just any public opinion, overwhelming public opinion, as you've seen from the opinion polls shown here. Conservative Party's chairman Kevin Hollinrake insisted Britain is a friend of Israel and should compete in the contest. Yeah, of course he believes that the UK is a friend of Israel, because as Conservatives, they only care about being on the side of the West rather than on the side of morality, rather than on the side of opposition to genocide, because that is what conservative politics has always been in this country, what establishment politicians have always been in this country. And speaking of establishment politicians, right, here's Rachel Reeves apparently saying that if you're progressive, you must say you're an unapologetic Zionist, right? It's so funny to me, these people who believe in, like, liberal norms suddenly support, like, ethno-states and colonialism when it suits their narrative, right? When they support genocidal ethno-states and the usurping of, like, liberal pluralism in the modern realm, which should be the basic of any party on the left, whether they be liberal or left, right? Simple as that. Yeah, no, here she's saying that to be progressive, you must be a Zionist. That is the reality of our government and our political class, but I'm glad to know that the UK public take a totally different opinion on this stuff. And again, one wonders why it's only Israel where they refuse to cede to public opinion. I wonder why. Hey there, if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you like and leave a comment. That helps the video out in the algorithm. If you subscribe and ring the bell, it'll let you know when I go live. I stream every day on YouTube and Twitch. You can also follow all of my socials down in the description. And if you want to support me in a more financial manner, there's a join button for memberships. It's just 99p to be a member on YouTube, as well as a Patreon, and there's some merch there as well. And hopefully I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.